This map is going to be one of them. City Center is going to be the other one. The reason we're going to do that is because Pharmacy Dive is so strong here. There's so much you can do with that you can't do with other comps on this map. There's so much cover for the Pharah, so many good sight lines. Spam damage is really powerful on this point. And you want to run something that can keep up with a dive comp usually because you want the Winston D.Va to be able to do the high end, low ground to the point. So for this map, your pharmacy is going to have to come in from over this space right here, right? That's where you want your pharmacy coming in from, right there, because that gives you cover towards the point. First fight, you're going to put in some poke out here, and that's all well and good, but you're going to move towards the point. You're going to rotate towards the point. And ideally, what's going to happen is the other team is going to rotate their tanks towards the point, and you're going to send your tanks into this space right here, right? So the other team rotates towards the point, and their tanks are going to end up right there. Fabulous, would you go stand right there for me, please? And the supports are going to be left right here. Caddis, would you stay here? Right? Okay, and so what you want to do in this situation, right, the tanks are going to rotate towards point first, and the supports are going to come second. As a tank, Caddis, what you want to do is you want to place yourself right here, because the supports are going to want to go towards the tanks, even if they're not with them, or even if they are with them, they're going to want to move in that direction. So you want to get this jump in right here, and your Pharah playing over top of that archway, along with your Tracer, who should be coming through here, right, are going to come in from this side, and you will get a nice pincher on this poor support. We're going to say a Sayori, and you'll just tear them apart in their first team fight. It'll probably be a Lucio or a Zen. And then from there, you move on to whatever targets are the easiest to focus. It'll probably be a tank, because there will be a pharmacy in the air. If there's not a pharmacy in the air, or a tank or anything like that, you're going to want to go for, like, the McCree, or something along those lines. Something else you might encounter is that the other team could push this hallway over here. If the other team pushes this hallway, they're looking to play a hit scan instead of the Pharah usually. You'll be able to tell whether or not they have a Pharah early on, obviously. But if they push that hallway, your priority should be on claiming the high ground, right? And your Pharah will be able to scout that out. She'll be peeking over top. She'll see, oh, hey, they're pushing hallway. At that point, assume that they have either a McCree or a soldier. And what you want to do is you want to get up here. First off. First of all, this gives you good cover. You can hide far back. You can get healed by your Mercy pretty easily. Second of all, when the other team begins to split up, it gives you a nice safe spot. If the other team's tank dive you up here, your Pharah can shoot at them. Your Tracer can come through that hallway over there and then shoot at them. You guys can control this space and have like a 2v6 up here, just versus their tank, which is going to be great for your ult charge. It's going to force them back. When they get forced back, you head for their squishies and you finish kills, right? If their tanks are still low, you can finish those off pretty easily as well. They're going to be playing back at choke points. The Pharah is going to have an easy time. Pharah, you're going to be playing back here. You need to be maintaining some kind of cover, whatever you got to do to be able to maintain cover, even if it's just like playing here and dodging behind this bridge, like in this space right here. You need to be maintaining some kind of cover from their hit scan, because your damage is paramount to this, whether it's putting shots into the tanks or just spamming into those choke points so that we can counter dive a squishy target pretty effectively. That depends on the situation, but you need to stay alive. You're also a huge deal for our Mercy player, just anytime you're playing Pharah, so staying alive is super necessary then as well. Remember, as Pharah like is the DPS, it's the main DPS, you have to be more effective than the hit scan counter in order to justify playing Pharah. Yeah. So, you can't do that if you're dead. For contesting this point, for holding this point, your general setup is going to be high ground. We're going to run a Lucio on this map, because this is a Lucio map. And Tracer's going to be playing the low ground. Tracer's going to be the one playing the point. If the team goes to point, she'll contest while you guys win the fight. Her job is just to be effective on point, right? The rest of you, your job is to look for an opening in the other team, and then take it. The other team's tanks might jump your tanks, and then you just go jump their support, or their hit scan, or their whatever, you know, anything squishy and vulnerable. Because their tanks are going to be sitting up here with no cooldowns. That means your tanks can go kill something. You've got a few second window where you don't have to deal with their tanks being in the way and bothering you. Take that opportunity, right? Pharah, when you're playing defensively like this, you want to be playing in this space. Let's see if I can get to it as Genji. You want to be playing kind of up here, and then you can rotate back around to where you came in from, which is essentially just over there. Same deal. You're going to be playing over top of these positions. That way you've got cover and you can dodge in and out of them. It's also a great spot to launch barrage from. If you have it and you're up there, the other team pushes through that space, you just drop down and drop a barrage right in their face, and you should be able to get a good amount of damage in before you get killed, or maybe even without dying if your team is coordinated around it. Always call your barrages. Be like, I'm going to go for a barrage, and then do it. That way you know to get damage boost so that you can kill anything that might kill you, and you know to get healing, and you know, like, everything is going to happen in your favor so that it actually works. Because we all know barrage is a super risky ultimate. It's like push Q to respawn kind of thing. So call those out. Be very vocal with that. For a retake of point, it's fairly simple. Come in the main entryway, and take your Pharah over the top of that space. Because it's the same principle. You want that cover. You want to be able to put in safe spam and try to get a few rockets onto a single target. You know, you're not just spamming. You're trying to get something weak enough to create an effective dive. Like, for instance, you're probably not going to kill a Winston, right? But if you shoot him 3 or 4 times, the Mercy might come down to heal the Winston. And then you can dive the Mercy, and if your whole team is there and you hit her with, like, 1 rocket, chances are she should die. The key to this is your pre-fight spam, right? You're going to sit there up top, and you're going to poke, and your Tracer's going to get into position. Your Tracer's going to go around, see where they're at. You're going to get communicating, or you're going to communicate to where they're at. Magic's going to be like, hey, you know, they're up top. And then 6 is going to be like, okay, give me a second to rotate. And he's going to rotate around, and he's going to get on the stairwell, and he'll be like, all right, I'm in position. And then Magic's going to be like, Winston's pretty lit, And Cat is going to go, all right, let's jump to Winston. 3, 2, go. And then you're all going to jump to Winston. Going to die. It's all about the setup on this point. If you rush this team fight, then you're in trouble. Because you're going to run in here and you're just going to get murked by the high ground and positional advantage the defense has. Not good. Okay?
Alright. Cool.
Any questions on this map?
No. I wasn't here for the first part. Real quick, I'm playing as Tracer, and the team is rushing point to this side.
The other team? The defending team?
No, us.
You?
Yeah. Should I be?
I can read your every move.
I need that guy to be alive, please.
Yeah, he was been blinking the whole time, so he blinked into it. Or he didn't blink into it, but he didn't blink out of it. That's my fault. Come back, my
Cool.
boy.
So let's say our team is rushing point from this alleyway right here.
Yeah. Don't rush point from that alleyway.
Never?
No, not as a team. Because if they have a Pharah, they're going to spam you, and they're going to hit 5 people with 1 rocket. And that is
So always go out through here then.
Always go through the open
Tracer,
space.
then, if I know my team's coming through here, should I be?
You should be rushing through the alleyway.
Okay,
You should be rushing through there, because what you can see, like, stop right here and tell me what you see.
Right here?
You can see the whole point, right?
Pretty
You can
much,
see what's
yeah.
on high ground, you can see what's on low ground. And so if your team pushes in and you notice that they have, like, maybe they're running a Zen, and their Zen is up here, you can go stairs and get on him.
Right.
But if you push through main with your team and you notice a Zen is up here, what are you going to do about it?
Fuck all.
Yeah, pretty much. So you want to take that position because it gives you the most options is for getting onto the other team. And you want to be split from your tank. You always want to be playing off from your tanks so that you're coming from multiple angles, which prevents the supports from getting away as easily. If you're coming from multiple angles, the supports become really hard to defend, and that's how you create an effective dive.
Cool.
Any other questions?
I'm all set.
Awesome. Alden, if you would take us to the next map.
I am okay. Welcome to Oasis.
Awesome. I'm gonna do this.
Get back.
Okay.
Contact.
Is that Smagic in the air? No, that's Gaddis. Okay. So, what you guys are gonna do is you're gonna push jump pad. This is how this is gonna work. You're gonna come through all the way left. Again, we're running a Lucio on this point because this is a Lucio map. You're gonna push jump pad. That does not mean that you're going to come high ground, right? You're not gonna just. You're not just gonna run over here and then use your abilities to get up here, only to get booped off by another team.
We fight and then take high ground.
Yes, you are going to take your fight down here, and the other team is going to be like, well, let's rush high ground, and then your Pharah is going to be like, bam, bam, into this space, and kill everybody. Take your fight down here by that mega health pack. You use your abilities to avoid getting booped off, or to chase down weak targets, but that's where you want to take your fight, okay? That involves your Pharah coming over top like this, and you need to be watching out, alright? Your spam goes there, there, and then there. As Pharah, you're going to be taking this space, and you're going to be shooting that space and that space. Because by taking this fight over here, either you secure high ground, or you force the other team towards high ground, which your Pharah can then pick off because they should be low. It depends on how that's going. As Tracer, what you're going to do is you're going to come through here, and you're going to, like, your whole team is going to take this mini room, right? As Tracer, you're going to come through here, and you're going to go this way. And then you're going to come this space, right? You're going to come a little bit more direct because your team is the one flanking. So you'll be coming from here, and then if you need healing, rotate back this way a little bit towards the point, and you can just kite around the point, right? If you get low, you can literally come all the way back out here to grab this mini health pack, and then play around point. Your job is just to keep them from capping, or get back in when you can. It depends on how the fight's going as to what you'll do, but you need to be playing at that off angle again. As a team, though, you guys take the high ground. Once you get the high ground, this is where your team should be positioned. Winston should be pretty much where Sayori's at right now, on top of that middle area. And then the rest of your team needs to be over here. The reason the rest of your team goes over here is because this is going to be, like, you want to control all the high ground, not just some of it. Any high ground is valuable high ground, especially when there's a Mercy on the field, because then she doesn't have to go down to heal you, and then I don't have to yell at Sayori for being on the ground as a Mercy, right? So, keep her in the air. She can stay near Pharah, still be healing you, still be damage boosting Pharah in between a little bit, you know, whatever. But you need to be controlling this high ground. So Diva and Lucio go up here, and eventually in the future we'll put Lucio over there. We got to work on Alden's wall riding a little bit. And then your Winston goes over here. The reason your Winston goes over here is because he wants to take the least amount of poke damage. Diva can eat a little bit of poke damage and deal with a couple Pharaoh rockets, but Winston cannot. So what you're going to do, Caddis, is you're going to stay over here, and you're going to hide like a bitch. And then your team is going to be like, hey, you know, they're pushed in, but Zen's still in the choke. And you're going to be like, all right, jumping now. And then you're going to jump in the choke and pray to God that your team wasn't lying to you. And then you're going to kill whatever's there. Or your team was lying to you and you're going to die. Right? One of the two. And if your team lies to you, I will blame them, not you. Fair enough?
There we go. I don't like dying.
Yeah. So, why are you playing main tank? I'm confused. Anyways. So, that's what's going to happen there. Smagic, when you're coming in, you play over top of that. When you guys have the point, you're going to play over top of this, right? And you're going to poke here and go for those kills. And that's not going to come off cooldown. The roof. And then you're going to play over here. Because you can get into this space right there. And if you need to rotate, you can rotate back towards here to play behind the high ground. I doubt that'll have to happen. You should be able to play in those positions pretty simple. Without any risk. But one reason you might need to rotate is if you notice your team needs a lot of healing. Right? Like the fight's happening on point, you need to be positioned around point. So you hug this high ground and you play around it as cover from the other team. And then you can also use it for mobility, right? To set yourself up for a barrage or get out and provide your Mercy with a safe spot. One of the two. What that does is, by positioning over here, you can get this backline poke damage in, and you can go for a barrage right there in that space. Which is really, really useful. Peeking over the top gives you more cover. You can peek from high ground like this. Basically just play around the high ground, play in those cover spots, but you definitely, for like your early spam, like this position is not as good as this position, even though your sight lines aren't as good. Now if the other team has a Pharah, you don't want to be next to the wall, you want to be over here, but if the other team does not have a Pharah, then you can play next to the wall, because your sight lines, while they won't be quite as good, it'll be safer versus any hits. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Tracer, you're a huge part of this. You're going to be playing that many and that many. Okay? That is both on 6 and Victory Donut. You're going to play around this right side because you can get into the other team's backline with just a couple blinks, or you can go contest point. Either one is fantastic. Remember, if the other team puts like just 1 or 2 people on point and you have an opportunity to get to the backline, then the team needs to be taking the opportunity to go dive, but Tracer needs to be contesting the point, because, especially on this map, nobody's going to kill her before you frag out a support. Right? Unless you're, like, trying to kill a Lucio who's getting pocketed by a Valkyrie. That might be another story. But, otherwise, you should be in pretty good shape. Any questions on this map?
Nope.
Alright, let's move on.
I'm good.
Welcome to Oasis.
Thank you.
Welcome to Oasis.
Man, we were on the right map, and now we're on the wrong map.
Alden, you ruined everything.
Take us back to university. The one map where we will not run a Pharah.
Oasis.
They were in a fair and it
And
worked pretty well.
They did. They
I
did.
did
We need
not
to work
think
on
it-
6's aim. And if we could hook the Pharah, then that would be no problem. That's one reason you don't run Pharah in here, because she's always going to be within range of the hook. Or Moira, like literally I think 6 was the only person who ever looked up. And then Shep pretty much fragged 2 or 3 people all the time. He tore you guys a new one. The Pharah really didn't do that much by herself. So for this one, we're gonna push. Let's say we're pushing in from the side where I'm at right now, right? We're gonna push this left side so that if we need to rotate towards stairs, it's a little bit faster. It's not really a big deal. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna run the Orisa, Roadhog, Junkrat, and we're gonna run a McCree. Because if anything peeks its head out long enough for you to two-shot it, I expect you to be two-shotting. JK, I don't expect you to be shooting it, but I do expect you to be shooting the hell out of it. The Orisa Roadhog combo, deadly dangerous. But you got to do it right. You got to combo your pulls with your hooks. You got to play Roadhog next to your Orisa, because the Orisa's bait. People want to get on an Orisa. People hate Orisa. They just want to come in there and they just tear her apart, pull her head off. Mount it on a stick.
Whoa.
And as Roadhog, your job is to be like, hey, don't pick on her. You know, farm animals gotta stick together. Owl and the hog. So he just sits there and he acts all scary, and when they jump on Orisa, he hooks them and kills them. The hook is important. That CC, that moment where they can do nothing about their lives, is important. Especially on tanks. I know you did a great job of hooking the D.Va, but it was usually in an uninspiring position. Sometimes it would be useful, but not all the time. Team, if he hooks a tank, he's not going to kill it. You need to kill it, right? If your Roadhog hooks a tank, it's on everybody to shoot at that tank. But the Roadhog also needs to be playing with his team so that when that happens, you can get that elimination. You guys in that composition, you're playing a very front-to-back composition. You're going to kill tanks, and then you're going to kill DPS, and then you're going to kill supports if you're lucky. They might just get out with a ton of ult charge. It depends. And you'll just have to see. But if you can kill the tanks, then you can stand on point with impunity, and there's nothing the other team can do about it, more or less. As for dealing with a Pharah, that's on a combination of things. Your Moira, for one, should be looking up at that Pharah constantly, ready to kill her. Your soldier needs to be aiming at her. Roadhog should be looking for hooks on her. Like, that's an easy pick.
You
That's
said
not
that
like-
Farah wrecked us. I'm guessing earlier today.
No, Shep wrecked you guys. The McCree on high ground, he pulled you guys apart because you guys were too busy freaking out over other things, and like you weren't dealing with problems one at a time as a team.
Mhm.
And that meant that you were a bit scattered, and they were able to
We were divided.
they were able to get in kills and picks that were really costing you guys. It's not like you were getting fragged out super hard or anything. You were just getting, 1 kill, 2 kills, 1 here and there, whatever. But there wasn't a lot so much that was going on as far as like team wipe type stuff.
I mean,
Right.
there wasn't much coordination. Now that I think about it, like I would try to deal with the McCreans and up top, and then Soldier
Yeah.
would try to deal with the Pharah, and then Hog and Arissa would try to deal with the tanks. Like there was
It
no
was
like,
awful.
yeah,
was awful.
there was no like picking a target.
Yeah. So you guys, you need to be playing one at a time. You have a shield. Roadhog has 600 HP, so he doesn't really need to be behind the shield as much. He can duck in behind it when he needs to, but not often. You have healers. You're going to be running Mercy and Moira here, so you have a lot of healing. We'll see how the Moira thing goes. We might swap that up, but regardless, you're going to have plenty of healing. So don't be scared of any incoming damage. Like, chip damage is fine. Take that. Focus on your target that you're supposed to be shooting at. Maybe it's a Roadhog in your face. Maybe it's a Diva. Whatever it is, play your strategy. Like, play the style that you're supposed to be playing. You're not going to be able to dive a McCree on high ground with nothing but a Junkrat, especially if he's got a Mercy pocket. You're probably just going to get 2-shot out of the sky as you follow a very predictable arc to him. Even if you swap to Genji, one Genji versus a McCree, like that's a tight contest, and that's not something that we want to be doing because it's risky. It's not reliable. Sometimes you'll win it. Sometimes he'll win it. Sometimes you'll blade him and get flashbanged. Sometimes he'll high noon you and kill himself. It all depends. But you want to be coordinated as a team, and really a McCree should be getting no value whatsoever. You guys should be hiding behind your shield, killing tanks. If they have a Pharah, you kill that thing next because she's floating around in the sky with no cover. If the Mercy goes up to her, you kill her too. She should be within hook range. As soon as anything gets hooked, you gotta listen for that too. Roadhog, if you're playing with your team, and something gets hooked, then it is super important that you be playing with your team because they are going to hear the hook. And if you're with them, they know where you are, right? And guys, if you hear anything get hooked, you need to be looking at your Roadhog and just instantaneously melt whatever gets pulled in. It could be Mercy, it could be Pharah, it could be a Diva, it could be a Winston. Whatever it is, that's 100% of your focus. Every single player on the team except Mercy needs to be doing that. So, that is the importance of playing Roadhog with a team. That's also the importance of the Roadhog in this composition, especially on this map. So, you guys need to play together, and you need to play that individual target selection. When we're holding this point, we are not going to hold it forward. We're not holding it up here. We can hold it on the point, which is fine. But even still, when they push in really hard, probably going to be rotating back towards the outsides of this point. So most of your better holds are going to be happening right here when the other team comes in. We'll see how that goes. We might have to hold forward just because of like Junkrat spam and the like, but for the most part, it should be safer. Actually, yeah, your tank should be like here, but yeah, the rest of your team needs to be back on the back half a point because there's no reason for you to be up there. And the reason you put your tanks forward is to eat any CC ults, like maybe they have a grab or a hammer down or something like that, but you want the rest of your team to be playing further away. So, everybody else playing back here, maybe a little bit on the high ground is Junkrat. Definitely you want to put the Junkrat on the high ground because you can spam over the shield because he's got the control over the stairway better. Like, Soldier just have to run away if he got pushed, but Junkrat can actually, like, contest the high ground and kill people up there. So, play in that space, and then Soldier's going to be playing back of point as his tanks rotate. He's going to be playing in this space just because the cover is really good here, and he's not going to get pushed really hard from any angles, like any weird angles. And also, if he's playing far enough back, Mercy has a safe flyaway spot to go to, right? Because we don't have a lot of verticality here or in this team comp, so you want to be offering a lot of options for her to fly away to. Junkrat also can control this right side hallway. Either or, it depends on what you think they're going to do, and how you think they're going to play. If you're worried about them flanking you, Cocky McCree's like to do that, Tracers obviously like to do that, then, you know, maybe play the hallway a little bit more, and just watch the high ground to see if anything goes on up there. It depends. But you definitely want to position in a nice spread out formation to control this point. As for retaking this point, play to your strengths, right? Like, your team is very good at being slow and methodical.
Yeah.
Very good at being slow and methodical. You're not going to be able to rush the other team. That's not what you're about as this composition. You're about walking on the point,
getting
stopping,
alive,
and killing one thing at a time until it doesn't matter what the other team throws at you.
the older days of Overwatch, basically.
More or less. Yeah, welcome to season
Sustain
3.
until you get a pick.
That's why this map has got so many, or so few team fights on it, right? Like, you'll see a lot of team fights on the other Oasis maps. But on this map, you might only get a few because the teams are so beefy and they've got so much sustain. You're looking to put out chip damage until something is low to kind of commit to it, or you're looking for pick, really, like off the Roadhog or a McCree or your Junkrat with some spam. You're looking for an opening. And even if you get that opening, it doesn't mean that you rush the other team, right? You have a cow. You're not going to rush the other team with a cow. You're just going to take a little bit more space. Like, if the cow is here, then you're going to move in here and take a little bit more space and control a little bit more of the point. But that does not mean that you're going to rush the other team. Your ideal is just to force the other team to back off the point without trying to contest it. That's why you see a lot of teams that hit 99 on this point while the other team only has 0. It's because they know that if they overcommit, they're throwing the team fight, but at the same time, they have a composition that doesn't give any ground, so they're not going to get pushed off either. Another thing, you guys are playing very heavily for ultimate. If you lose the first fight, you need to think, hey, the other team is probably going to have a pretty good bank of ultimates close, especially because you guys have so much HP. It's like they might actually have several of their ults. And you put out such spammy damage. It's not like burst damage where you're going to kill somebody. It's more of like, hey, you've just put out a ton of chip damage with your Junkrat. They're probably pretty close to a Valk. So you should go the next fight and be really aware of what they might have. Try to be anyways. Be like, hey, we put out a ton of damage, but we didn't get any kills. I wonder if their supports have ult. And so the next fight you go in, you try and force that out. Right? Maybe don't go for the kills as much. Maybe not on the supports even. But if you go for like a DPS and frag them really hard, then they might Valk just because they're afraid. Or, you know, if you think the Zen is close to Transcendence but doesn't have it, just shoot whatever he's healing really hard, and then he should have it, and then maybe drop a minor ult into them. Like Whole Hog is not a big deal. If you drop that into them, you could bait out a trance, but you're playing for ult economy and you're trying to gain an advantage in that. You're trying to get the better ult economy because your composition, like I said, you're going to get a pick or you're just going to do a ton of damage and slowly push them off the map, right? And then ult economy is how you actually get wipes and sustain and take the match and all that good stuff. So, kind of need to be aware of that, be hyper aware of that. You do a good job of it already, but just try and keep it in mind, specifically when you're running a composition like this on this map. One thing that you can do if we find out that the Roadhog and Orisa is not working, it's just go Ryan Zarya. Classic, very standard. Might drop the Moira for the Zen just because Transcendence is so powerful. We'll see. But the same principles apply. The same, hey, we're going to play slowly, applies because you don't want to go overzealous and then find out that you just fed them more HP than a pentatank that jumped off the map. You know, like, that's not good.
Yeah. Okay.
Any questions on this map?
No, sir.
I'm still a little confused about the McCree that destroyed you guys on this point.
I mean, he was pretty much uncontested.
He sat, Shep sat
He was
right here,
uncontested.
and he
It
was
sounds like he
damage
was just
boosted.
free.
He was.
He
Like, I
was.
tried everything I could do to try and stop him, but I mean, I can't 2v1 them.
Yeah, he was uncontested because of the fact that no one else forced him. I mean, you had him, you had who was it? Magic or Six? So you had somebody on it, but
Smagic went for it a
He's
couple
gonna die.
times. Six went for it a couple times. But what happened was Shep was sitting on the high ground damage boosted.
With
Right.
Zen up there.
Oh, okay. Alright, yeah. I can
was
understand
Zen.
now.
So he was getting healed, and then our team was busy doing solo missions and not positioning properly. Like, the shield should have been right there.
I was putting shields
Covering-
right this area. Yeah.
Was it an
Yeah,
issue
it
with
should not be up
like
here.
shot calling or
Right? Like, your shield should be right here. If the other team is high ground, your shield should cover right there. Right? Between those points. Because if you go out here, your team is going to want to play back there because the cover is back there. And yeah, you want to take some point presence, but this is too much. Because your team can't come effectively play behind your shield without a little bit of help. Maybe if you positioned it towards the wall over here on the stairs, then that would be fine. But it's still safer to position it like over here. You need to position it near some cover because if your whole team is playing behind the shield, it just can't sustain that. A couple people, yes, it's great for that, but the whole team, not so much. And then the McCree won't get nearly as much value. But part of that was you were pushing in deep, your supports were trying to frack Farah, your Roadhog was off doing a solo mission, and Sayori was like back Roadhog, and then people were getting picked off because they were getting split up and it was disorganized. So hopefully this will eliminate that.
Yeah, I was lost on Hog because if I went to the shield, I would just get shredded by the McCree and then.
Yeah, just play near your Orisa, hook tanks, kill tanks, and then hook anything else that breeds, kill that.
How our shield was positioned right here, the McCree could just get free shots in on me.
I mean,
Yeah.
couldn't we just walk up the stairs as a team though, and just kind of try to stop them from having that high ground?
Yeah, do they have a
'Cause, like,
Lucio or anything that could boop you off?
No, just a Zen. Once that McCree is
They
up
also
high
had a
ground.
Farah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's dangerous getting up
I
there
will
then.
not.
Yeah.
You'd have to bait out the boop.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. But I mean, once that McCree is off of high ground, I feel like I could have tried to hold it myself. But you know.
The high ground really isn't that important on the map because it doesn't have the best sides, and you have to stand in this doorway. If you had just positioned your tanks a little bit better and your team a little bit better, then it would have been much easier to ignore him. Because McCree versus Orisa is terrible.
Okay.
I feel like if we queue up for a quick play game, we'll more than likely get this map.
Hold on.
That's
Probably.
Because I really want to try this strat. Or at least try the map.
So, what you want to do then?
I want to go to sleep.
Alright, well, practice is
That's
about
like
to be over. I've already proven myself by 1v6ing all of you.
Boy, come here.
Easy.
All right, come on. Don't help him.
Alright, yeah, me versus Caddis. Caddis,
All right.
I call next.
Go
I'm
get
good.
healed up.
I'm playing your hero, and you're playing one of mine. So let's
Wait,
see what
Donut,
happens.
I want to trace your 1v1 you.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
I have to get you.
Yeah, let's chase around the oven quick and get healed up.
Put me on their team, cunt.
Alright,
Right now.
are you ready?
Alright, before we do this, who just dropped? Was that guy?
I thought he
Guess
wanted
so.
to talk
Yeah.
to us about it.
Let me get Chaser.
Give us a team fight, alright? Come on. I want a 1v1 Freezy. I want to 1v1 the new guy.
There they are.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
Alright, who's Chaser?
Kidding.